Live from the mist-enshrouded mountaintop fortress that is X and Y Communications headquarters, you're listening to the world-famous Mountaintop Podcast. And now, here's your host, Scott McKay.
If you get into a relationship with a woman, what's the most stressful time in that relationship? The beginning, right? Absolutely. Why is it so stressful? Because you and she don't quite know each other as well as you'd like to yet. You're in that exciting stage of getting to know each other. Some would call it the honeymoon stage. But man, you feel like if I screw this up, she's going to scoot. She's going to be out the door. Or maybe, she's going to screw up. And then, oh man, why are you now only telling me that you're a devil worshiper 3 weeks into this relationship? Couldn't you have said that up front? Well, what we're going to talk about today are the mistakes that people make in the first 3 months of a relationship. And that's a great topic. And, obviously, if you're making any of these mistakes, you're going to want to stop. But for most of us, I think it's going to be a lot of 2020 foresight. To help me do that for you today and discuss this whole topic at length is a great guest. Before we get there, I want to remind you that I am Scott McKay from XY Communications. I am your host in San Antonio, Texas, and you can find me all over social media at Scott McKay. Except for Instagram, where I wasn't quite early enough to the party and had to settle for real Scott McKay. Of course, what's there with settling for being real, right? So deal with it. If you want to find me on Instagram, it's at real Scott McKay. My guest today is a high-end matchmaker, and we were joking about how I'm not pretty enough for her high-end matchmaking firm, and she vehemently disagreed, and then went, "Are you single?" I said, "Oh, no, I'm not actually going to be one of your clients. I've been happily married for almost 20 years. But at least she had, the right attitude about things. She's always got her thinking cap on. She's hard at work, even as she's on this podcast today. Her name is Sandra Myers, and she is over there running Select Date Society. Sandra, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, Scott. I was looking forward to it.
Yes, me too. And you told me you're Italian and from New York, and having just done a complete rewatch of The Sopranos, I know you're going to want to jump right into this, or else I'm going to be a gagoots. So I tell you what, let's just go right into it. Why wait? Start talking to me about mistakes men and women make, or men or women tend to make. 3 months in.
I'll focus on what most men and women both do, that on the front end of dating, it just is a killer. And I call it verbal vomit. You get on the date, right? And you want to clear the deck. You want to make sure that everything that's on your bucket list gets checked. And then the next thing you know, you're asking questions that really draw negative answers, which, why did you break up with your ex? Like, in all of this, I call it rear view mirror talk, right? So to me, a first date should be like an English muffin, light and airy, fun, 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 fun. That's it. So when
you're not buttering each other up.
Oh, I'm buttering you up. I think I'd be buttered up before we even started.
Well, that's what I would do with an English muffin, is butter it up.
Exactly. But that's what you should want to do with your date, Scott. It's not about getting your information and checking off your list. It's about, quite honestly, I think men and women both pay attention to the wrong thing. They should be thinking about, how do I feel around this person? Do I feel comfortable? Am I at ease? I always talk about ease and dis-ease. Dis-ease, your body's telling you something. There's a reason you're not comfortable with this individual, and you need to listen to it. So I would tell, men and women both, pay attention to how you feel around somebody rather than interrogating someone.
We talk about masculinity as pretty much being tantamount, as women see it, to an ability to make her feel safe and comfortable in your presence, because that's what a provider and a protector is all about. That's the essence of masculinity. And you told me, you admitted to me before you got on this show that you really hadn't watched any episodes of this show. So this is all coming first person from you, but it matches up with everything I always tell these guys about what women want the most. Yet, we usually go on first dates, and instead of being English muffins, we end up toast because we talk about the wrong things. And so, you don't want to get burned on your first date. And that light and airy analogy is wonderful. I actually have a term I call warm levity, which is not too far off. I mean, that might actually apply to an English muffin as well, right? I don't know if I'd slather cream cheese on it, but, being warm and light is a good thing. And that you have one job on the first date, and it's, do we get along? Am I enjoying myself? Do I feel safe and comfortable with you? And yeah, that's a huge mistake people make, not in the first 3 months, but like in the first 10 minutes is, okay, here's my checklist. How many babies you want to have? Why did you get divorced? It's like, look, I already don't like you. You already sound like my accountant before we've even started dating here. So you have one job first date. Do we get along? All that, future oriented stuff, knocking out the check boxes. We'll work on compatibility later, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because look, at the end of the day, my philosophy has always been, why are you going to share your book, which is your whole life story thus far until you got to this date, with somebody that you're not going to ever see again? I think it's silly.
I agree. And it's absolutely not Dale Carnegie stuff either. Being a better listener than talker
No.
is a good idea on first date. And here's something I've realized. And I don't know if you agree with this, but let me run up the flagpole with you and see what you think. Sandra, I think no matter how amazing you are, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. I mean, it's like you could have won a Nobel Peace Prize. You could have charted with your last single. You could have been all over the world. You could have beaten cancer 10 times with a big, heavy hammer. But unless and until what your topic of discussion relates to the other person and they actually have an interest in it themselves, you're just going to be boring them silly. It's
Yeah, I think,
remarkable how amazing you can be and still be boring.
Scott, I don't know many people that love biographies. I mean, if you go to the library and go to the
The
biography section,
bookstore.
it's not
It's the
crowded.
clearance section at Barnes and Noble, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
And you know what? I'll have people will write biographies who aren't even famous, thinking the whole
Right.
world would love to read my story. And yet, like Oprah's autobiography, like a Martin Short's autobiography are 50% off at Barnes and Noble. And I guarantee they're more interesting. Yeah, you're onto something for sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's a story isn't worth telling if your audience doesn't relate. So you don't know this person well enough to understand what they're going to be interested in, what they're going to care about. So I find it really funny that men specifically, I find men do this more often, and I think it's out of nervousness, and it's usually when they like somebody. They get excited because the chemistry's there, they like this woman, and then they feel like they need to prove themselves. And
I'm trying to
that's
impress
not
you.
what, yeah, it's like, let me give you my resume. Let me tell you how I stack up against anybody else you could have gone out with recently. It's like they're on the hunt for a job. But what they're realizing they should be on the hunt for is connection. And connection is what's going to move the needle here. It's not going to be the resume because most women have great resumes themselves. What they do want to feel is like what you just, alluded to, Scott, is they want to feel safe and they want to feel like a woman in the presence of a man.
And yet, too many men are trying to neuter themselves down. Too many women have been told by the media that you should let your masculine out more, whatever that even means. And, what gets left in the lurch is attraction and then connection, right?
That's exactly right. I think most people don't realize is that if you really show up as your fun, playful self, then people will pay attention to you. Then they will listen to you. Then your story will have value. But you have to show up and be fun first. Because, look, I don't know. Do you ever go to a party that's boring and terrible and you just sit there and you stay? No, you're going to leave. So you have to bring the party to the date and be fun and be exciting and talk about, I think one of the things I can share with your listeners, the easiest way to kind of keep yourself on track is avoid the rear view mirror. Think about driving a car. If you're going to drive the car and stare at the rear view mirror, you're going to crash and burn. You got to get it out the windshield. You've got to talk about what's ahead of you, what you're excited about, what's next, what they can actually see themselves in these pictures that you're drawing with you. So if you're talking about the next trip you want to go on, the woman's sitting there, oh, I could wear my hot bikini, or I could do, they will start visualizing themselves in your world. But if you're talking backstory, it's going to be a snooze fest.
We don't have a time machine for that.
No.
Yep. Not to be overlooked, men are often allergic to fun.
I know.
And you are yet another woman practically just grabbing us by the face, you're Italian, and going, hey, have some fun, lighten up, will ya? And men are just like, no, I got to be stoic. I got to be serious. I got to be the strong, silent type, or else she's not going to like me. No, you need to help her femininity percolate. And women are all about fun. I mean, Cyndi Lauper warned us of that 40 years ago, right? Girls just want to have fun.
That's right. You're dating
Y'all
yourself.
don't grow up. Well, it's still timeless, right? Women absolutely want to have fun. They don't outgrow it, right? And if you're not any fun, she's not going to be attracted because it trickles back down again till she doesn't feel safe and comfortable. She's not allowed to be herself and have this she gets stressed by work all day long. She has to be serious with the kids. She has to be serious in the workplace. She has to be serious when she's cleaning the house. Can I please just go on a date and expect maybe an hour and a half vacation instead of punching into another job? Please. That's what she's saying, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And think about this. When a guy shows up and opens the door, but if you're there first, you can get up, pull out their chair. I mean, there are little things that make a woman feel special and move them into their ladylike demeanor because you're treating them like a lady. So guys, they've kind of walked away from old school values, and I'm saying bring them back, because what women don't want is to be, feeling like they have to diminish themselves in order to feel, that you're going to be okay with them on a date. They don't want to diminish themselves, but they still want to be treated like a lady. And I think that gets conflated and confused. And the men kind of don't know what to do anymore.
Isn't that an interesting concept of diminishing oneself? I believe it's a mistake to try to dumb oneself down in any way, shape, or form.
Agreed. But that will keep that from happening, is if they treat them like a lady and they feel that, they're being respected. And instead of pumping up your resume, pump up how you're treating this person across from you. It has more to do with you paying attention, you doing small things, asking them, do you want another glass, grabbing the waiter, just doing those little things that you're paying attention to their well-being. That's what women really buy into.
I agree. Let's talk about what's happened nowadays with people focusing on transactional relationships. I can only imagine that has to be on your list of major mistakes people make. I mean, you're a matchmaker.
Yeah.
And I'm sure men and women both show up and they're saying, I want this person, I want this person, I want this person. They got to be this way. They can't be that way because that would be like super annoying. And then you say to them, all right, well, what are you bringing to their table? And they got nothing because they're expecting to get something out of this without giving anything in return. And it seems like, especially younger people, but I think the way the media has been driving things lately, it's very self-oriented out there, especially post-COVID. I mean, COVID, we basically were told, fend for yourself. You only have yourself. You can't go out and socialize with anybody. So that habit got formed, and it's still being promoted out there as if it's a good thing. So young people are getting into relationships going, all right, well, this person's going to help me pay for my college and give me a place to live. They're going to look good on my arm when we go out socially. She's going to give me a blowjob. It's what am I going to get out of this? Whereas the secret to a wonderful relationship is the joy of connecting and wanting to be this person's significant other. We derive joy from our connection and what we do for each other. And it's like nowadays people don't even relate to that. They're like, dude, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Either I get something out of this or I don't. What's all this fluffy stuff you're talking about with connection and wanting to assist each other through life and partnership? It just doesn't compute anymore. You know what I mean? That's a mistake.
I do. And I don't even think it's factual. Scott, to be honest with you, if you look at the basic human needs, like after food and housing, right? The next one is safety. And I think that what happened, interestingly enough, our firm started in June of 2020, and then the pandemic hit 6 months later.
June of 2020, we were in it.
No, it was it was 6 months before the pandemic hit is when we opened, which was in June of 2020. And then it hit in later on that year. So you're
in a place where I think they were probably not so.
They were trying to figure. Well, we wound up starting our business. The pandemic hit right after, and then we're sitting here, starting up a company in the midst of this. And my thought was, wow, boy, do we have bad timing. But you know what happened? Our company blew up, and you know why? Because people realized how much they need connection. So I think the pandemic for some people made them realize how important it was. And for other people, it made them realize they really need that. And that scared the heck out of them because they're realizing they have a skill set they have not worked on, they're not prepared for. And so what happens is fear operates. And they're operating out of a fear mentality, and they're avoiding what they don't know how to do well. But it's our second safety need, and then the third need of a human being is belonging to something somewhere. So I think what happened with the young people, the online, it gave them a sense of belonging without no real responsibility. So I can date this person online. We can do this. They don't really know me. They only get to see me while I'm on camera with them. So this virtual dating was really safe for them. Now, after the pandemic, now you're asking these same 20-somethings to come out and now start dating for real, where you've got to dress, you've got to act appropriately, you have to be in situational circumstances where, quite frankly, you could easily slip up and show them a side of you don't want them to see. So I don't know. I feel like most people, who have skill sets, which are the older people, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, they have that skill set. But the 20s, they don't, and even the teenagers that went through COVID, through high school, and now they're coming out and they're trying to figure out like how to act appropriately in the world. It's just, it's harder for them.
So the mistake in there is that they're too guarded and they're afraid they're going to reveal something about themselves that would be too vulnerable and the other person wouldn't like it, or they're going to feel rejected. Because I think there is a perfectionism that's driven in the media, especially when you spend too much time, looking at reels from beautiful influencers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think it makes a lot of us feel like we're not enough when we're actually perfectly fine. More than enough. Now, that's a mistake. I'd like to pivot towards sometime after the first 10 minutes over the course of the next 3 months of making mistakes. All right, let's say we get into a relationship, we're boyfriend, girlfriend, and we've been at this thing for a month, 2 months, 3 months. What are the big major errors that people make at that stage in the relationship, Sandra?
Yeah, so one of the things that I just firmly believe, and some people disagree with it, I just don't think there's value in regurgitating all of the what happens in every relationship you've had until you've met this person. And I hear this all the time about, I've had this deep conversation. He told me this, this is what happened with his ex. And I'm sitting there, what's the value in this information? Honestly, guys out there, Women will take it, they will file it, and they will take that file out and whack you over the head with it 6 months, a year down the road. It doesn't serve you well. So, whatever went wrong in your past relationships, you got to realize that's a completely different person. That is not you. So, two people act differently with different people. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. You either bring out the best or the worst or somewhere in between with every person you meet. Yeah.
Exactly. So, what does it matter how I behave with this person because that person wasn't good for me? So, clearly they weren't going to bring out my best. So, why would I want to divulge all of that stuff? Um, I just feel like it doesn't hold any value. So I would steer clear of those relationships of talking in detail about what happened in every relationship because sometimes it could just be an answer as simple as, you know what, sometimes two good people don't make for a good relationship.
And on that note, here's another mistake I'd love to hear your comments on. I believe it's very
Sure.
real. If I've been through a dry spell or I see the whole process of even getting into a relationship at all as some kind of drudgery or, oh my God, I better guard this jewel of a relationship carefully because if we break up, it may be 6 months till I get laid again or something like that. What we're going to do is we're going to start idolizing that person and overlooking very important red flags that are screaming out to us, don't stay with this person. And I think, especially during that first 3 months, we get roped into a relationship. Perhaps there's a pregnancy, or they buy a house together already, or God forbid they elope to Vegas. And they were what I call clouded by beauty vision, you know,
Yeah.
maybe even an idealistic lens, and they're not seeing very valid red flags. And perhaps even your friends and relatives are saying, hey, this person in their $30,000 a month gambling addiction, I don't know about that. But you're going, no, 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 it's just a phase. They'll get over it. And they're thinking, no, this person's batshit crazy, and they're stealing from you, and really their whole story doesn't kind of fit together at all. But no, they're wonderful and they're my future. Big mistake, huh?
Oh, yeah. But you know you're doing it. So this is the thing that I always say to clients or anybody that I talk to or interview. It's like your body tells you, right? Because if you leave somebody, so if I'm dating you and I leave you and I go back to my daily life, you're
Which
not in
would
my
never happen.
presence. Well,
Go
yes,
ahead.
I agree because I know you love your beautiful little wife that you just told me about earlier. But the point being is if I'm walking away from you and I'm nervous, anxious, and don't feel good unless I'm in your presence, that's telling you everything you need to know because your body is telling you, don't trust this guy. Like you're going to have to worry about him when he's not in your presence because even when you're in his presence, you're not at ease. So again, you have to pay attention to what you're feeling and don't chalk it up. Don't make excuses. And I tell you what, if you really want to put that person to the test, get the guy or the gal that you're dating in front of, take them out to dinner, introduce them to best friends, family members, somebody that knows you really, really well. Because I know when I met my husband, my best friend said to me, I've never seen somebody look at you that way. It was she knew. She knew he was for me. She could tell the way I was acting towards him. She's like, Sandra, you never act this way. You always act like cold and aloof. She's like, you are just totally in love with him. So your friends, your family will know, but your body will tell you first. So if you ignore this, your backup plan should be them.
And importantly, I think we as men should pay attention to those somatic cues also, because we have gut feelings about things that are often trustworthy, especially when it becomes, a matter of chicks and dating, and your bros will tell you and your
Oh
family will
yeah.
tell you. And if you're trying not to hear that, I would actually agree with you. I think we see red flags and ignore them. And I think it's an immature decision to try to cobble together something where there's only trouble ahead. I really think so. So yeah, that's a huge thing. Here's another mistake that I think couples make, and I want to hear what you have to say about this. They fall into a routine almost immediately. Like the first time they hang out is Netflix and chill, and the next thing you know, they're Netflix and chilling every night, starting from day one. And then they sit there and they watch a movie together. They never really get to know each other. They don't have any deep conversations. They don't go out. They don't hang out with friends. They just lay around and are lazy with each other. And that's not a relationship. And that's a huge mistake to fall into that trap because it's an addictive trap, you know?
Yeah, I think it's laziness, honestly. And
Uh-huh.
you know what? This is what I've seen. Doing this 30 years, I can tell the difference of how a man acts around somebody that they can't live without as opposed to can live with. Those are two very different things. And when a man can't live without somebody, they are going to continue to want to be impressive. They want to make that person happy. And they're going to want to experience life and get out there and do it with this person that they've been waiting for. Usually the what you're talking about, that's the in the meantime person. They don't really care whether they stay or go. It's comfortable, it's convenient, and that's really what it's about.
Well, that may bring us to another mistake, which is to let lack of confidence or even full blown lack of self esteem keep you from feeling safe in revealing yourself to another person. I'm going to keep everything under wraps. I'm going to stay
Yeah.
unnecessarily mysterious because if this person finds out who I really am, as opposed to this front I've been putting up for 3 months, they're going to skedaddle. They're out of here because I'm not going to be enough. I'm going to lose them. So that fear of loss based on negative self-talk is a mistake as well, right?
Yeah, I don't think you can be in a healthy relationship until you have a healthy relationship with yourself. So if there are things
Agreed.
that are challenging you and that you need to work on, I mean, clear the deck, take care of it. Because at the end of the day, that's going to be the thing that's going to be the roadblock for you to get what you want. So, nobody's going to be perfect. You can't get to perfection, but you have to get to a place where you love yourself. So this way you can accept somebody else's love. Otherwise, that's a battle that's not going to get won. They will. You can only kept shut down for so long without somebody feeling you're not interested because you're thinking you're protecting yourself, but they're thinking you're not interested because you're not sharing yourself. So the outcome's going to be the same. So to me, why not take the risk? Reveal who you are. And if they're for you, they'll accept you just exactly as you are.
That seems pretty logical to me. Sandra, what are some other lightning round-ish mistakes that you can kind of just throw at this audience, just to kind of make sure we're aware of them?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of immaturity with this one, but I see it happen with men and women both do the same thing. Like men will look at another woman to try and get the woman that they're with jealous, or, a woman will be flirty with a guy, if they're sitting at the bar or whatever, just to kind of see if it's going to catch the attention of their date. It's a bad move. It's called emotional immaturity. If you have to,
The
if you have to
the very definition thereof. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if you have to play games, listen, that's not your person. And if somebody's
Yeah,
playing
game
games with
playing is
you,
mistake prone.
yeah, because you know what, I think nobody is getting anywhere. You're just digging a hole. So if you're digging the hole, just walk away. I know for a lot of the women that we work with, the biggest complaint is why doesn't this man just tell me what he wants? Like he'll say, no, I don't want to do this, or no, I don't want to do that, but he won't say what he wants to do. And I would give that advice to men. Like be clear with women on what you need. You know, don't
Yeah, don't be
don't
Mr.
wait for
Nice
them
Guy
to
about it.
figure
Say,
it
"Oh, anything
out.
you want." Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
good advice. That's great advice. Her name is Sandra Myers with Select Date Society. And when you go to mountaintoppodcast.com/Sandra, I don't believe we've ever had a Sandra on the show. So you can just make it SANDRA. You will go to selectdatesociety.com. And Sandra, what are you going to do for these guys when they go there?
Well, they can either be a member of our network, which we can consider them for any of the women that we're working with, or if they want to consider, becoming a client, they can fill out the inquiry form and we'll have a great conversation and see if it's a good fit.
Fantastic. Sounds like a good plan to me. Sandra, what a great conversation. I hope you'll come back on and share more of your wisdom with us because this has just been delightful. Thank you so much for being on.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, it is time for you to find the right woman for you, not this wrong woman that you have to play all these games and do charades with for 3 months, but the kind of woman you actually can connect with. Go to mountaintoppodcast.com. Get on my calendar. Let's talk for 25 minutes about how to make that happen for you. While you're there, visit our 3 longtime sponsors, Jocko Willink's company, Origin in Maine, The Key Port, and also Hero Soap. And guys, look, all 3 of those companies, I stand behind all their products. They make great stuff. You can't go wrong. Use the coupon code MOUNTAIN10 to get 10% off at checkout with any of those guys. And also, gentlemen, if you haven't checked out the AI app Vominos, you don't have to call me. You don't have to go search around on the web for YouTube videos. All you do is get on Vominos, ask the question, get the information you need, even in the moment with a woman. And hey, it's the year 2026. You can do that nowadays, and it won't break the bank. It's called Vominos, and you can get that at mountaintoppodcast.com as well. And until I talk to you again real soon, this is Scott McKay from X&Y Communications in San Antonio, Texas. Be good out there.
The Mountaintop Podcast is produced by X&Y Communications. All rights reserved worldwide. Be sure to visit www.mountaintoppodcast.com for show notes. And while you're there, sign up for the free X&Y Communications newsletter for men. This is Ed Roy Odom speaking for the Mountaintop Podcast.